Everybody, look, we have 5 again. You were way too
He's
kind.
back.
Sorry, I was scrambling in the middle, at like 9 o'clock at night going.
I was getting a review of the meetings shortly after them, and of course I'm still very interested in the outcome, so
Right.
glad to join.
Right, I do think, and I think I said this in an email, and it's very relatable or very relevant for Jonathan, is that moving forward, because Donna, Lori, and I, and Bill, once he's reapproved, will all term out. You can't, and for our guests, you can only serve 2 consecutive terms on the Cultural Council per the state of Massachusetts. So you can only serve 2 3-year terms, and then you have to move aside. But there is a kind of a hardship allowance to, I think my husband, safe harbor. I think it's called that if you need to keep people to maintain your group at the proper number, you can do that. They just want to see as much as possible new people.
Turnover.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You're making decisions on things coming to the town, and if you have a set of people who have been in place for 10 years, you may want some stuff. But as everybody knows, getting people to take time out to be on a town board or to serve in the town is a lot. So, and we also learned that I think all of us, myself included, thought that we were working more from as a quorum of members for voting, and the state cultural council said no. We don't operate as a quorum for this type of event that we're doing right now.
You do have to have a quorum to vote,
Right,
but you have to have a 5-member team to even be a cultural council.
right. And they actually said to have votes on grants, you had to have 5. And that's where we were going on. We could stumble along with 4 until we had a 5th, but our contact made it pretty clear that we needed 5 and this is our busy season. So for our guests and for Jonathan, please don't be overwhelmed that it sounds like we have a lot of meetings. This time of year we do, but the rest of the year is pretty low key.
But a lot is really at the most 2 a month maybe, or it's not like we have one every week.
Right.
It really is relative or subjective as to how you want to look at it.
Right. Yeah, compared to other commitments, I haven't served on other town committees. I think some of you have. Compared to other commitments, I do not think it's too much heavy lifting.
We have do we have more than 8? I don't even, yeah.
That could
And
be.
we've been doing this how many terms now? 3? This is our 4th.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say too because we had the COVID years and life got really wonky then.
So Zoom meetings, but even so, I just don't think we have more than
Right.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
give or take 1 or 2, but
Right.
6 or 8.
Right. Yeah. So I guess I've called us to order. And I'm welcoming our guests. Thank you so much for coming. It was absolutely wonderful. We have our friend Bill Shea back with us, which is great. I did send a message to the Board of Selectmen Secretary or Administrative Assistant to say to please put you on their agenda to reappoint you. I didn't get a confirmation one way or the other.
They may not have accepted me.
I don't know. I didn't hear. My hope is that they're meeting next Monday. That's my hope. But I need to
Make sure he's on the agenda.
confirm that because I did send them to that. I did send that to them to take care of for us because we have to be able to vote. So that's important. Sorry, I've learned more that I need to make myself on the list. list of things to do. Because otherwise I come out of the meeting and go, what did I say?
And literally, when we started, remember, we were all brand new, and there was nobody left over from a
Yes.
previous council.
Mhm.
So we needed to really not recreate the wheel, but we had to put our heads together.
It certainly felt like it though.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we have nothing to go on.
So
Was there a gap from the previous cycle?
I don't think they had a full cultural council
Okay.
representation for a couple of years, and we thought there'd be a couple that were still on, but never came.
So there's a gap of grant approvals then?
No.
No, I think every
No,
year
every
we
year
we
there
still
were,
made it.
they
yeah.
did have
Okay,
enough,
you're
but
right,
it
okay.
just, everybody kind of faded away at the same time.
Yep.
Right, and we were very late, I think, that
Yeah.
first year. I mean, we were meeting on like December like 27th or something. It was very late.
But you got it done.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we did. We got it done. So, and just for our guests, just so you know, so we have, we are mandated to have a 5-member board, but we also have room for 2 or 3 alternates.
At least.
Yeah, I think we can we have as many alternates as are interested, or do you think?
I think you can, because there were a bunch of us that were alternates to start.
Right, yeah,
When
that's
we
true.
started.
Yeah.
We had a crew of us.
Yeah, and even to become an alternate, you do appoint you, the select board appoint you, and you have to, the town swears you in, and you also have, the town clerk swears you in, and you also have to do an online, non.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah, a conflict of interest training, which is really a lot of fun. It's doable, it's just tedious. We'll move ahead at this point in time, and I'd like to review the minutes from our last meeting, and very much
Can we
appreciate.
ask these guys to introduce themselves again?
Oh, yes, yes, if you guys could both introduce yourselves again, and Donna, do you take down their names, or? Okay, yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Mike Stahl, 5 Lombard Road.
Beautiful. And you're just interested in joining the town on things?
I'm a brief background. I grew up here in the 60s and 70s. Moved away for career and family. After 45 plus years, I am now a re-resident,
Wow.
official re-resident of Hubbardston.
Wonderful.
And I've been attending many of the various town boards and councils and committee meetings over the last year
Mhm.
to kind of get up to speed and understand how Hubbardston is the same or has changed
Great.
over the last almost 50
That's
years.
a great approach.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. You learn a lot that way.
More than maybe I had bargained for.
Yes, I hear interesting things from my husband. And Melissa, if you just want to
Yeah.
say a couple words?
I'm Melissa Call. I live on Ragged Hill, 84, and I'm interested in this. I've gone back to school for cultural anthropology, which I started
Wow.
30 years ago.
That's
Um,
wonderful.
thanks. So this is up my alley. So I'm interested in all kinds of cultures. I used to live in different parts of the world, so this is
That's a
exciting
nice,
for me.
that's a nice background.
Yeah. My husband's from India,
Wow.
4-year-old here.
I could probably sit and listen to you all day.
Oh, thanks.
Melissa, could you spell your last name, please?
Yep, K-A-U-L.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And it's tremendous. We don't usually have guests, so it's very exciting. So we're going
Thank
to.
you both for coming.
Yes.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, it's just great.
And I have a paper copy of the program if you're curious on how it runs. If you're curious, we can, whatever, as we're talking.
Trying
you
to
guys
give
wanna
you
flip
all
through
the
it?
paperwork.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
Yeah.
So we reviewed, so that's our new agenda. Where'd they go? Okay, all right. We talked about recruiting new members, which is what we are doing. And we discussed the possibility of bringing back our former chairman, Mr. Shea, and we found out that we would need that. And we're also talking about ways, to create an awareness of the cultural council in town. As most of you know, most people are like, we have a cultural council? We do, really? So we're trying to create awareness, also create interest and new members and things like that. So we're talking about ways to do outreach. Most of us are aware the newspaper is, Jonathan is probably gonna help us after the holidays to print flyers, send them home with the kids from the school, to look at, maybe parents of children, because so many of our programs are aimed at children and things like that. And also, I put up a new post on Facebook, which is helpful. And the library is also, she's starting some kind of a monitor kind of reader board, kind of the same thing that we have downtown, but it's going to be a freestanding monitor in the library. She has some kind of software device to basically run, all kinds of announcements on for patrons of the library. So she's going to put it on there as well. She was very supportive of our help. We've talked about, in the past, we've talked about possibly sponsoring a banner for some of the events in town that Katie does. We're still kind of not really, we're basically based on time in our meetings and a lot of other constraints. We're not really moving forward on that in the time. Lori, how'd you do with the reimbursements?
There were 5 reimbursements that came through. This is a current status of where we stand with grants and what's outstanding, what's been submitted to the, so we're in great shape. Donna gave me another one today. Anyways, so we're doing good. We have, I submitted 5 after our last meeting, and we have one that just came in from Donna, so we're in pretty good shape.
Great.
So, and I had emailed out to everybody the financial reporting, and I haven't gotten anything new from the town to update our financial situation. Like, once the town tells me that they've cut the checks for these, I can update our ledger.
Right.
But since I don't have any new reporting, it didn't make sense to resend it out again. There's nothing new yet. But I'll let you guys know when that changes. But anyways, that's where we stand. There are 5. And the Lions Club did perfect with what they submitted. They did 2 sections of both amounts. It was great. So I was very happy about that. So we're in good shape.
And Donna, you were going to, so you talked to the Clear Path for Veterans people?
Yeah, she I sent her a 3rd email, and within minutes she got back to me. And actually, she's on my good side now, as opposed to at the last meeting when I was complaining. And I gave Lori all the paperwork. She submitted it yesterday, the reimbursement form, and then a roster of the members.
I should give that back to you.
Attended the workshops, and they're held once a month. It's all explained in her paperwork. It's really well done.
Do you want to go through it?
This is the reimbursement.
And where do they hold these workshops? Do they
In
hold them in
Templeton. Right on 2A. I
Yes.
think it's right on 2A.
Put that name with it.
And they have other locations apparently, because she talked about Marlboro, Tewksbury, Leominster, Chelmsford, Lancaster. So, yeah. And then she had listed all the dates of every,
How many people do they have attending these events?
well, the roster showed,
We saw that some events were like 3 and some were like 5. They were small
Yeah.
numbers.
yeah, but the one thing that jumped out at me was there was only one veteran from Hubbardston that attended. I don't know if that would make us feel
I wonder-
differently.
I wonder if it's, we don't get the word out that it's available for veterans, maybe we should, there's a veterans group
We
in town,
have
isn't
veterans
there?
agent.
Yeah, I recommend,
So-
as a guest, I'll recommend that somebody reach out to Sheila,
Okay.
who's our VSO, our Veterans Service Officer. And they have breakfast, and they have lots of opportunities for veterans to come in and talk with our Veterans Service Officer, and letting her know that that's available. Because at the workshop, they're very proactively involved in projects, but their mantra is really flags. They do flags of different sorts out of wood and so on and so forth. And,
But the fact that it's a creative activity is
without a
kind
doubt,
of cool.
yeah, different sizes, and there are pictures of some of the veterans that attended and their, what the projects ended up as, and, you know, certainly a good cause.
Yeah, it really is, and she said, thank you and the Hubbardston Cultural Council for supporting our programs at Clear Path for Veterans New England. We included some photos, as you'll see, and we'll go back into social media and tag the council, so you'll be able to see many more photos. The woodworking shop is the highlight of our arts and music programs. Thank you so much, please let me know if you have any more questions. And then she said,
That's good to hear.
yeah, she sent the people that are affiliated, and then these are the invoices. And then some pictures of, yeah, pictures of the vets at work. Holding their flags, which actually are very nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then there's more, I guess, on social media.
So we kind of tabled that one to talk about again, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
We needed a little more information.
Right. Do you, so we don't need to get in touch with the town veteran coordinator until we've maybe reviewed their grant again?
I disagree. I think it's a program that they should be aware of no matter what,
You know what?
whether the cultural council funds them or not.
Because these veterans may be looking for activities and.
Right.
This
And these
is nearby.
activities go on throughout the year?
Yeah, once a month.
Once a month.
I mean, I would say irregardless.
Yeah, and I think that if the person wants to go back and work on it on their own, they can do that too. But while they're there, they offer them, moral support and perhaps referral to other agencies that they might need. So I think it's a compliment to what our Veteran Service Officer does. And she may not be aware of it. She's fairly new. But I know that she was the VSO for Templeton also.
Oh, so she may
okay.
be.
Yeah, so she may or may not be
It
aware
can't
of it,
hurt,
but,
it can't hurt to just
No,
bring
I
it to her
agree.
attention again, then if she already knows it.
and certainly if you have any trouble getting in touch, just let me know. and I'll-
Is this someone, so do they have a town address, Bill?
Yes, literally, if you look it up on the town and look up Veteran
Veterans.
Services.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, I'd be happy to send them.
yeah. Nice one.
All right, I can send them.
34 years in the service.
She spoke at your memorial day event too.
Yeah, she did, yeah. No, actually, she was there, and her hubby was there, but she didn't speak, but she.
I remember her being there for some reason.
Yep.
All right, that's wonderful. I did, and we can look at this when we're looking at the grant applications as well, and I'm too lazy to turn on my computer. I did get a response back from Listening Wellness Center about their adult programs. They didn't respond again. I had some very specific questions. we were, in the past, we funded the young people's part of the program, but we haven't funded the adult. And what we were discussing was, does the adult program focus on any type of mental health services or groups or things like that? And most of us, I think, are aware that there's a real shortage of mental health professionals or affordable mental health professionals or available to a lot of people who are in need. And so I did reach out and, said, thank you, and I'd like to know a little bit more about what these programs are. And she told me that they did have groups on things like stress management and things like that. They also have individual practitioners who are working out of Listening Wellness Center. But what I don't know, I sent her more questions, and I asked her, do individual practitioners offer some type of a sliding scale? Does the money that's applied for in the grant, does this apply to those?
Good question.
Are there any, are the groups supported? How much do they cost? How are you doing outreach? Like, if somebody in this area is looking for mental health resources, how do you make that known that you are there and ready to help? And then I said, I'm really sorry, I'm a nurse, so I'm aware of this stuff. But she hasn't, as far as I know, and I looked at my email around noontime, as far as I know, she hasn't responded back with those very specific questions. And we'll go through the applications again. The one thing I am wondering is, does mental health fit into a cultural council context? I am
guess
wondering.
it's part of your culture being healthy, would be one point of view.
Right. But it's, so I don't have all the information. But she did respond.
And as you recall, they're located in Barry, and where we funded the youngsters before.
Mm-hmm.
She was very helpful as far as letting us know how many youngsters from Hubbardston had attended, and each of their programs has a slight cost associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one year it was like 22, and another year it was like 15. So not a lot, once again, because they were mostly after school, and kids have to get home, and the late buses and stuff like that. So, but I noticed they put in 2
I
this
think
year.
they put in, I think, an adult last year too, but it was a little different.
Yeah, I remember that yoga was part of it. And we
Right.
were like, well, we've got a yoga center over here, so
Right.
we're gonna go to Barry.
Yeah, it was a bit big. But, so I have asked her that specifically, so, when we're going through things, we might wanna, kind of see where our money is, see what we're doing and stuff like that. But, that was, something to keep in mind.
Thank you for checking up on it.
Yeah, she was very nice. I think we are, sorry, I'm not the most savvy chairperson in terms of protocol. I believe we have to end looking at the minutes, so we have to say what we have to say. Would anyone care to motion to accept the minutes?
I'll motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
Beautiful, and all in favor?
I
All right, so the minutes are accepted as written. Thank you, Donna.
And as a guest, let me comment that one of the most effective things we do is, after we've made the grants, we make a concerted effort to try to attend each and every one of the activities, and then give feedback to the group in terms of what we thought, how effective they were, And was it worth our while? And did it meet the objectives of the grant and the results? And so that's a fun part of it, to say this is something we funded, and now we've seen it, and we've certainly run the gamut as far as how effective they were or ineffective, and that has a distinct bearing on the next year if they apply for a grant.
Yeah, because, and what we do find is we get a lot of repeats. And so it definitely, if you go to see them, it does make a big difference. So, anyway.
And in reviewing the amounts, we have the prerogative of granting them less than they're asking for. But in the overall grant, they will say that they have other sources of funding and that they will consider accepting it should we not give them a full amount. Because of course we have to divvy the pile up, the amount we have into little pieces.
Little
Make it
pieces.
go around. Yeah.
Little pieces. And I think, does anyone know, is this the most grant applications that we've ever had?
I don't remember.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have
25,
25, I think.
That
Now
would
we
be
have
more.
28.
Yeah,
This is
28, I
12.
think, yeah.
Well, it was up the last time we met. There were 3 additional ones from the Lions Club.
That would be the most.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did not have an opportunity to ask Chris at the library. I didn't see any grant applications from you, but maybe she has, except for the pastel guy. That was the only one I saw. One from Chris.
And do you see what they're having at the library tomorrow?
No.
West African Drums
Yes.
at 10:30 a.m.
Yes.
Is that the one that's an application
I
that
don't
we
think
have?
so.
This,
Well,
it might be the same thing, but it's for it's for FY '23. This may have been funded some other way, but it sounds like the same thing.
and at the
It's
library, so I
funny.
presume that the youngsters can come over, they might have the kids from the school come over.
Right.
But it's at the library, and Donna noticed it, and then I said, we're gonna stop and we're gonna take the time to read it, so it was on the reader board, so,
Oh, okay.
yeah, West African Drums.
And it's, but it's tomorrow at 10:30
10:30 a.m.
So
November 4th.
Who's,
But that would be the
Yeah.
kids in the school.
if they bring the kids over from school, I don't know. Maybe, I
I don't know, it's gonna be nice outside.
Yeah,
There's a evening or
maybe,
afternoon version.
maybe they'll have a.
Oh, is there an evening event?
I thought there was. My family was interested in that event, particularly my eldest, but maybe at a different date then.
Okay. Yes.
I'll apologize, there's another meeting I'm attending, and looks like they're starting to show up for that. But a couple of things. On the select board agenda of 17 October, there's an item, Sheila Pelletier resigning as Veterans Agent. So I didn't know if you knew that. I didn't want to mention it earlier when that
wow.
was discussed, but I wasn't certain, but I went back and
Thank you.
And that's,
Yeah.
and now I'm getting phone calls, so. And there's another thing was, the next select board meeting is the 7th,
Great.
is coming, but to get on the agenda, you gotta back that up, 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever it is.
Yeah, I sent her
So-
something last
Oh, you've already,
Monday.
okay, then hopefully it makes it on the agenda. Actually, you could look it up, I could look it up right now, maybe.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Let's see. Pretty familiar with the, okay, these are the old agendas that I have to go back to.
She will replace the woman that moved out of town, and a few months later she's resigned.
So that's a town position, the Veterans
Yeah,
Outreach?
it usually covers a number of towns.
Oh, I see.
The previous gal was Sarah, who was on my Veterans Memorial Committee,
Mhm.
and she was doing 5 towns, and only given a certain allotment of hours, and she was basically overwhelmed. And I know, frankly, that Sheila had resigned, our newest one had resigned from Templeton. And I thought that was to concentrate more on, I think, the other two towns. She had one of which was Hubbardston, but sorry to see her go. And she is on our Memorial Day committee, and I hope that we gave her a lot of things to do between now and the next meeting, and she needs to find us, because our topic for next year is going to be the current veteran, the Desert Storm veteran, and how have they assimilated back coming home from a war, and so on and so forth. And she was going to get us speakers and
Oh, wow.
so on and so forth. So I hope she's still around for that.
Wow.
What was the date that did it say what date she was
October
leaving?
17th.
It was
So she could be going
Yeah.
back.
Yes, that was the agenda. I don't know if they took action on it. I don't
Oh,
think I made that. And the minutes have not been published yet for that meeting. They'll probably be out in a couple of weeks.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I can check their upcoming agenda that I.
And also find out if there's an interim person.
Okay.
For taking Sarah's position.
Yeah, because, but I know in Gardner, there was a time when they didn't have one, and so they sometimes have difficulty filling that position, which is really too bad.
Are these positions that are funded by the town or by the?
State.
By the state?
State Veterans Administration. If they don't overpay them.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Just a correction on the West African Drum Workshop is at 6 p.m. tomorrow.
It is. Didn't we see 10:30 a.m.?
I didn't see anything
Yeah,
that was.
okay.
Yeah.
6 p.m. tomorrow night,
Tomorrow,
okay.
yeah.
At the library?
Yeah, that makes
Okay.
more
Do you see
sense.
anything more about it as to who runs it, or
Hey, give me a second, I can click into it.
so we can see if it's similar to?
God, I think it's.
It's run by the group the Wendell Warriors.
Our West African drumming is somebody named Lucy
And
Treesize.
the teacher is Jafar Mansell. I don't see that group mentioned in the just short
Application.
description.
Wow, everywhere.
I'll
Thank
have
you very
to
much.
depart. It doesn't appear for the 7th Select Board that there's any agenda item related to Cultural Council.
All right, I'll reach out again.
Yeah.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming, Mike.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Nice to
Thank
meet you.
Hopefully I'll have time to get engaged.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Yeah, it's actually difficult because the town offices, nobody works on Friday.
Yeah,
So to get that on their agenda if they didn't. put
But
it on.
an email, they might. get
Right,
an email.
yeah, because
So
I
if it was,
sent them an email.
Mike's also the reigning dinghy dash champion for the last 3 years.
Oh,
Jonathan was telling us.
Yeah, yeah. He
Built a
smokes
kayak
us.
that's just an inch above the water every time, and he gets the fastest time.
He
Oh, wow.
smokes everybody.
Yes.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, and I told him that this year we have to have like a little bit of a handicap, like I'm gonna poke holes in his boat. Yeah. The first year he did it,
Yeah.
he had trouble with his boat, and he ended up going backwards, so he had to really row, and he didn't finish well. But after that, he's
He's the
monopolized it.
champion.
Yeah.
So Donna and Lori, I think you guys, going on to our grant applications, there were some that we just flat out said yes. There were some that we indicated yes,
Yeah, do you have this?
but, did I have that one? That one.
That's-
Okay, perfect, thank you.
I need to throw it out.
No, that's fine, and I had, okay,
So the Wendell Warriors, the only presence they have online is Facebook, and there are no names defining their group. So we'll have to.
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to attend? Your family going to attend tomorrow night?
I think so.
Good.
Great.
Some feedback next time would be great. K-State is one and the
Mrs.
same.
Mrs. is pushing the kids hard to head out
Morgan's,
tomorrow night, so.
good.
Oh, well, that's
Good
great.
for Morgan.
So, looking at the start of our list, just to go back, we've indicated that for Jay Mankita, the gentleman who does the 3-day make things in the elementary school, we've indicated that that's going
This would
to
be,
be, that's going to be a yes. The scenes from the heart of New England, we've indicated that's going to be a no. The Johnny Appleseed, it was interesting, I was driving by there with my husband the other day, and I was looking at the place, and I was like, nobody's there. I mean, you know, I think people stop there to take a quick nap or use the bathroom or whatever, but I didn't really see it as a place to encourage.
Or to want to just go and have a visit there.
No, so I just, and I think we also talked about, Bill and Melissa, I think we talked about that it was gonna highlight towns and things like that, and we're a pretty small town in central Massachusetts, so kind of what bang would we get for our buck would be kind of limited. So we kind of said, the Fitchburg Art Museum, we're a little bit on the fence because it isn't in Hubbardston, but it is our most close museum for art, so we're still in a maybe on that. We're also still in review on Kelly's Music. We're going to talk about that.
We're still in review?
Well, I think, so we're a yes, but we were looking at $600, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And then Patrick Smith, this was the event in Worcester, which we just said this is in Worcester and not really part of our community. So, I mean, Worcester is part of our community, but we didn't feel that this would directly affect us, so we said no thank you on that one. And I would be interested in Bill's input on the next one, on John Porcino, and the Two Life celebrations in story, song, and music. Have we had him in the past, or have we always kind of said maybe not?
We have not, I don't believe we funded him in the past.
We haven't, but in prior cultural councils, they did.
They did, yeah.
I have a history here that.
Is that true?
That's
Yeah, because I don't recall him being accepted in the past. The name rang a bell, but I don't remember, unless this is something totally different. He's doing.
No, I think this is
Okay.
the same.
the same program, yes.
It's the same program.
But who doesn't love Captain Kangaroo?
Well, I
don't
think
know that
that's,
the kids know.
Yeah, I know, huh?
yeah, it's kind of really
Keisha.
dating yourself.
Robin Williams. I
My
think,
kids
did.
don't know Captain
I
Kangaroo.
bet they don't.
I caught the reruns of it, but.
Yeah, yeah.
Even
And Pete Seeger, yeah.
even
Probably
Robin
Pete Seeger.
Williams, I mean,
Yeah.
that's, we're moving along here.
I think he's just making a comparison of what he's like.
He is indeed, yeah, combination of all.
Just so that I don't think, whatever.
I mean, and as we talked about before, to bring people out for a specific program is very difficult, and it does sound like potentially the field day sounds very busy, and that the fair in June is also really quite busy, and for kind of a more intimate event, I think that would be something more either in the library or the schools, and it's a little hard to tell because this grant didn't come from the library. So I would be inclined to keep this as a no thank you, Or maybe we can return to it at the end, but lower priority. Anybody else have any thoughts on that one?
Is it for all age groups, or is it targeting a specific age group?
One moment. It says on
Have any of you seen his?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Target audience for this project, a school, family, young adult, or adult audience.
Okay. So the full gambit.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm lukewarm to chili on that one, but maybe we could return to it again as we move through. Then we are returning to the Clear Path for Veterans, and they requested $800. I don't remember how much we granted them last year. Did we grant them like
Yeah.
$500?
It was 64.
Yeah.
Oh, so we had a little kind of cushion.
Yeah.
So perhaps 500, but we may need to reduce it. Although it did only serve one Hubbardston person, but it's the potential of a resource out there to a group
And
that
if we got
feel-
it more advertised, it might be, you might find more Hubbardston vets attending or
Yes.
something, so, I mean, I thought the idea of having Sarah maybe, project that it was a program that they could take advantage of, I don't know where that stands right now,
I would hope there'd be somebody covering in the interim so we can accomplish that objective by reaching out to whoever is covering that.
because they're probably not gonna stop, they have meetings, don't they, with vets, or no?
Oh, yeah, they're breakfast, and there's like a 3-hour time frame when a veteran can make an appointment, and there's certainly access to talking on the phone, and then that veteran's rep literally meeting at a fairly short notice if whatever was warranted. And that once again is how thin is that person's spread and their ability to do it. But you know, as a onlooker tonight, I would say that that has value, but the added value is going to be to make that connection.
Mhm.
How much, if I may ask, how much do we put aside for admin this year?
The
Uh,
full amount.
The
250.
250?
No,
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 more than
we
that.
put more than that,
Yeah.
we put like 305 or something.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
We put, I don't.
But now, we'll also be able to take full advantage of the reader board.
Yes.
And now you're saying that you have the monitoring at the library, and I think we should take full advantage of that for every event, whether it be field day, fair, and certainly the reader board, which is a nice addition, and then the one at the rec field, we've used that periodically, and that's been effective, but, you know, that, the one uptown, you know,
Yeah.
being well lit, et cetera, I mean, it would have only been ideal if we could have put that up at the rec field, so you have that longer distance to be able to read
It
it.
goes by you pretty fast.
Yeah, everybody's
It's
mentioned
very
that,
hard to
yeah.
read.
It is, it's like Zoom, and like, they have a similar one in Holden, but it's at a light.
It's at a good light and you
Exactly.
get stopped.
You
absolutely,
do,
yeah.
right, you get stopped and you see it. This one, you're like, what did it
You
say?
hit the
Even at
first
30
line
miles
and
an hour.
that's it.
Yeah, or
Yeah, when
less.
I've gone by on my bike, I've been,
You can stop.
who do we contact? Is that Katie for the board?
No, it'll still be the town, so you would.
The town runs
yeah,
it?
mhm. Yeah, I would say town clerk would
Okay,
be the primary person. Katie is certainly
Involved.
working on it, involved,
Right,
yeah, but
okay.
it's
the town.
open carte blanche.
So it's not like the one over the rec field where you have to go through the police clerk.
Correct, as far as I know.
Okay.
I mean, and it's Sergeant Fort at the police station, if in fact that's the contact.
Okay.
Right.
I just think Patty had said, when she needed to do the Lions Club, the Halloween, Rieta,
Hold on,
the whole down. I thought she said she would get in touch with us
I may be
For
involved.
the new
but,
board?
for the new board. Yeah, I don't.
Wow, it's hard to reach.
Yeah.
The police take care of one at the rec field.
Right.
So maybe they've taken
I'm not sure of that, but I would,
on.
I'll,
but one call and you'll find out, and you'll have your contact. But that's gonna be a real help, you know,
Yeah.
for getting the word out.
makes you be very brief as it goes by.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it
I
can't be
circle
too
around every
cryptic
time.
either, I mean.
Yeah, it's very brief.
Well, we
Um,
stopped and read it and we said 10:30.
I swear it said 10:30, huh?
So for our veterans, do you want to tentatively say $400 to $500?
Let's change them to a yes for one.
Okay.
Do we do, I think we agree that it's a great program. We can, I mean, we'll vote on all this later, but I
Mhm.
think I'd like to put them in the yes category
Mhm.
again. And, yeah, I agree, 4 to 5 would be a nice amount to
They're-
send if we can afford that, or see where we stand.
Their budget for the entire program year is $5,400, just to put things in perspective.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So it'd be nice if you're doing 10%.
Yeah.
So then we're going to move on to the special event of Hubbardston, where there's been a request for concerts in the park. And that's for $2,400. And this is going to be organized by Katie Young, and to have 4, I believe, different concerts at the rec field, and have a community event for each one.
Just going to interject, did anybody read the email tonight that came out from our rep?
I did read
Did
it.
you think immediately of Katie?
Was
Yes.
that the exception one?
That's the one.
2,500 one?
Yeah, the 2,500.
Yeah.
I didn't read on the particulars of how it gets executed. If we were responsible for it, it was directly coming from the state, but it definitely is right up her alley.
$2,500.
Correct.
I've seen
Yes.
that one.
So it said it had to be a cultural event, but the fair, if she wanted to put it towards that, or, we really should make sure she's aware that it said it just opened for applications or something.
Yeah, the only problem I saw with it was the date range was to the end of June. And correct me if I'm wrong, most of our field day and
Fair is in April.
No,
Fairs
it's in June.
Oh,
in
it's in
June.
June.
So
Oh.
maybe the fair, but the other one that happens in August would be out.
But that's Lions Club.
Correct. I'm just trying to think of all the summer events going on. It's like they had to put the line right in the middle of summer when they couldn't.
But that also.
So the
means
events
Point
had to
Lions Club could
occur, they
probably
had to-
apply
You're
also.
yes. So you apply now, and I think it's open for 3 months, and then you have until June to do your event. Is what I saw on the date range. I'll go back and look at it again, but it kind
Right.
of scratched my head and this doesn't seem right. Is this a typo or So a further review,
I
I think,
printed
will
it
be.
out and left it on the printer, I would,
Yeah.
so that I'd be able.
No, I've seen it, and I very much thought of
Yeah.
Katie, and what she's trying to do, so I'm not sure if.
Not sure if a concert series would qualify. It might. We'd have to look further.
Because I think it says festivals, fairs, something like that.
Festivals
Cultural
and,
events.
and events.
Right.
So if you're talking like bandstands, things like that.
Mhm.
The none such, I think that's another qualifier for it as well.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
Yeah.
great.
So, do we want, so for us, the total amount that we're looking for is about a third of our budget, which is fairly significant. Would we want to, in our desire to support local events, and because this is a new event, perhaps we could plan to support 2 of these events at half?
I would like to also ask Bill to speak to this a little bit about It sounds like maybe the events that are at the rec field are becoming more, more successful. I know that you've sponsored a bunch of things there and
Yes,
saw
I'm doing
things
all the time.
waning downhill for participation. This is, and a lot of the reason we have things at the fair and field day is because there's a lot of stuff going on at one time, so it has a way to draw a lot of people. This will be a one band, one night, and then, I don't know, maybe in a month or so, there'd be another band, another. Do you think there'd be a draw?
Well, Gardner had concerts in the park. Barry has concerts in the park. And they're established. And I'm not sure if Gardner's doing it anymore, but I know Barry is. They have the band, they have the community band, they have the Quabbin band, and that has become kind of a gathering spot. So my input on that would be we would try it and then closely monitor, see how successful they are. And I know that Katie would put a really good effort into it to get the word out. She's going to have a food truck there. I think she might mention that. And so to kind of make it, people could come right from work and with the family and maybe get a bite to eat if they need it while the music's playing. And so I think that it does put the burden on Katie to find the right mixture of bands. And I would say that I have been reasonably satisfied with the turnout when we did the movies in the park. First time, of course, middle of summer, so it's lighter, longer, and it's warmer, longer. And the first time we did Back to the Future, we had about 80 people, and that was a little disappointing. And then the second time I would have liked to have more than that. And the second time with Jurassic Park, and the pizza place gave free pizza and stuff like that. We had about 100. And so I was moderately...
Well, I would say that's successful.
Yeah, and the fact the Back to the Future one got postponed twice because of weather. So it was like, that hurts.
Yeah,
you know.
and then it was freezing cold the night, and
Yeah.
finally.
Had it, so...
Oh, I remember that. It was
Yeah.
cool.
So, but I really think that in the old days that communities had that, and it was a way of bringing people together. And so the concept, I think, has value. And so
And
to subsidize them somewhat, this is speaking informally, of course, I believe is worthwhile, but not to spend, a third of our budget of $6,700 on that particular grant. But like anything else, does she say that she has other sources that she can draw on, and that 2,500 you just talked about?
She's got a 600 for 4 different events. There's no details on those events yet. It's pretty much a blank slate right now.
But if anybody can pull this off, it's going to be Katie.
Correct.
And I think she is responding directly to a Facebook post that I think several of us saw, where people in town said they wanted to see band concerts in town. You saw that? It was a long post, and I think she heard what they had to say, and I think she's responding to it. So she's trying to give the people what they asked for. So if we can support her, and if some of the nights that she's had have been more successful, the Nonsuch, did anybody go to that?
Yeah,
I missed that one.
I had the Ecto one there from
Oh, yeah.
Ghostbusters, because they showed Ghostbusters, and it was a chilly night.
Yeah, it was cold that night.
And so, based on two factors, number one, first time around, and number two, the fact that it was fairly cold, I would not have held the event. That's more of a fall event though, because it's related to the Nonsuch.
And it could start earlier.
Yeah, and so, but perhaps scheduling something like that a little bit earlier, so you have a little more daylight and probably not as cold. But people came with blankets and brought their chairs, and I think when I left, there were at least 40 or 50 people there.
I think that says a lot.
Right, and I think people, because I know I went by it on my bike, it looked like people were kind of coming and going. You know, I think some people came and maybe didn't stay for the movie.
Mhm.
You know, kind of came and hung out for a little while and then they.
And then it goes to show that stuff like that needs more advertising, because I would say that at least a couple dozen people who stopped by, drove by, and they saw the car, the Ghostbusters car, turned around and came back and had no idea there was an event going on. You know, so
Do
that-
you know if they were town people, or were they going through Hubbardston to get?
half and half. You know, because some of them said they might come back for the movie, but it was short notice. So once again, it was a matter of they didn't know it was happening.
Yeah.
So that points out, even though Katie has the people that support that event and has it posted on the telephone poles, it's still
It's hard
Getting
to
the
get
word out, yeah.
It's a tough business.
So I think we've decided this has gone from, we don't have a decision to a yes. And
It's a
then-
yes.
And the amount is
Yeah.
up in the air. Why don't we, just for now, and it's just a floating number, say half, just for, we can, the only thing is, if she thinks she needs $600 for one band, you want to at least try to support her for two maybe, or, I don't know.
Well, what, the other
Other
part
thoughts,
that,
Jonathan?
Go ahead, sir.
the one that I had thought was that, is there a way to connect Katie with, Matt York? I mean, I thought that would be a really good fit. Now, I don't know, would that mean that we would grant him, or we would not grant him and send him Katie's way? I don't exactly know how that would
I
work.
don't
Or
know
would we?
if you can do that. You can't force her to use somebody. I think your idea is wonderful. I like it.
Mhm.
I just don't know how it would be implemented or work to,
Or if we potentially made that kind of your financing.
If you recall, in the past, we have directed our grantees to either the fair or the field day. We want to kind of level it off so that we have representation.
Right.
And so I think that that's a pretty good idea, that we try to connect the two of them. And that if Katie's planning on having 4 different events, she probably doesn't have 4 bands lined up now. And this would give
So
her an option.
potentially it could, if
Work
we
out, yeah.
approved him, we could point him in that direction.
Because we've told our grantees in the past, we recommend that the venue you use is either the fair or the field day, knowing that they need that as opposed to being at the library or the senior center. So that, certainly, having the bandstand there is a wonderful way of drawing people in and having a good setup where they can put their amplifiers and connect and stuff like that. So.
and it's very interesting because when on Matt York's app, he says he would hopefully be at the fair. So it sounds like he might be amenable to other events. I mean, concerts in the park, is that something at night or is it a daytime thing?
The fair?
No,
no,
concerts in
yeah.
the park. Do we know whether she's thinking
I
daytime?
don't
Well, I
think
would,
it was
I would think
specific.
she's thinking early evening.
Early evening?
Yeah, that would be my recommendation, because that's when the others are held. But otherwise, you're not gonna generate a lot of people
People are working.
during the day.
Right, or unless it's a weekend.
Or weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can, until our next meeting on the 17th, we can get more information from her and,
See if she's amenable to,
I'm sorry?
see if she's amenable to having, how would we work that? How would that work? Would you,
You would have to grant that.
and tell him we want him to be part of concerts in the park?
Yeah, as long as Katie is okay with that.
Or technically we can't notify, I don't think we can.
Oh, right, we can't.
I don't think we can, because
Yes,
there's
okay,
that
that-
long
yeah.
lag time. But,
We also want to make sure that his gig fits into Katie's vision as well.
mhm,
We're making an assumption, correct?
That's
mhm.
And it's a good fit, but, you know,
Mhm. Right, I think it's, I just thought it was potentially a good fit,
Mhm.
but it does get tricky, say, if we said no, but said,
So.
And he even says, you know, you brought that up last time, because it's part of the band series from that York, the notes there.
mhm,
So concerts in the park were a yes, and amount is still to be, we have more time to figure an amount out.
correct.
right,
Question, but we don't know what we should
But you mentioned, Ward Golf House.
do. That's my gut feel, so that she could at least, you've gotta have two, or maybe she can spring for the other two out-of-town monies, I don't know. Or if we grant Matt, you know, he's a third, and now she has 3 bands,
Mhm.
you know, so we would grant him and her with the hopes that he'd be part of Concerts in the Park.
mhm.
And kind of recommend
Yeah.
that he make the contact.
Because we're the ones who recommend he probably play at the fair, so maybe we can say, we recommend you play.
And that becomes a little bit, because she has a band that plays all day. And I know that in the past,
Right, at the fair she does.
yeah, and that's been pretty popular. So to work another gig in that's going to take the bandstand becomes a little more complicated, because if they have, like the band there has 4 or 5 pieces of, you know, musical instruments, so, and I know she has prioritized that in the past, so,
Has he played at the fair or at Field Day before?
He played at Field Day, I
Okay.
did see him, and I think I shared the last
Yep.
time we were here that he's very good, but I didn't think that was the greatest venue for him.
Because there's so much other stuff going on.
Yes, it's very busy, and he's more somebody who seemed like, you know, he's singing his heart out, and seems like he really wanted to command your full attention, which is really hard to get at Field Day or
People
the
walking
fair,
around.
Yeah.
right? And it seemed more appropriate for like more of a more dedicated venue.
Would it be wrong to ask if ask Katie if he seems like he would fit into something like Concerts in the Park, if we granted him the money, or ask him if he'd be willing to play at Concerts in the, I don't know, because
I think he's willing to play.
anywhere,
I think he's willing to play whether it's fully appropriate or not. I mean,
I guess I wonder if daytime or nighttime makes a difference for him. You don't think it does?
I don't think so. I mean, I mean, I know there are a few performers who prefer one or the other, but no, I didn't get that sense.
Okay.
But I think approve both, and then
See
hopefully
if we can put them together.
create an arranged marriage.
Okay,
that's good thinking.
so we'll have Katie as a yes and a possibility of, $1,200, and we'll see where that fits in the budget, whether it's gonna work or not. And do we wanna foot to that then, or talk about him later?
No, I thought Matt was good. Not 100% sure on $500. but we can.
How long would they be, like, in this scenario, how long, is there a difference in the amount of time you would be playing at the fair versus at a concert in the park?
I'm guessing at a concert in the park, it would be more like 90 minutes to 2 hours. At the fair, it's basically about an hour. I mean, the time he had allotted at the fair, the field day, when I saw him, I think he was allotted about an hour when I saw him.
So I guess, does that start to justify the amount that he might want?
Yeah.
In his
So-
original application, did he say how long his program lasted? Just curious.
Meadbrook, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Give me a second.
I mean, I think he's somebody who has a lot of material. So my guess is yes.
63.
Did they announce that he was going to be starting his performance so that maybe people could?
Not really. It got a little wonky because the crop dusters were finishing, and then they had the Boy Scouts were doing their flag removals at the same time that he was going on, and it was a little weird because you weren't sure if you were supposed to be like respecting the flag or listening to him. It was a little...
There's a blurb that he put in his application that says, "The Hubbardston Fair," which maybe he meant Field Day, "was kind enough to host me last year. I had a great time, and I think the audience enjoyed it as well. If you'd be amenable to me being the soundtrack to the fair for a portion of the day, I'd love to return." So maybe he's kind of willing to do, you know, whatever we'd feel comfortable that he'd be a good part of.
Mhm.
I don't see duration here.
I didn't see it, but I was scanning quickly too.
Yeah,
for-
I'm guessing he could probably do 90 minutes.
I was just
Sing slowly.
But
I
was
mean,
just-
he knows all the Highwaymen songs, he knows
Yeah.
Johnny Cash, he's got to do it.
My only concern was that, you know, if he was thinking it would, you know, if he came up with his amount he was requesting based on how long he thought he would be playing, and now we're going to ask him to play for longer, is that a conflict? Will that be a conflict for him? Probably not, because we never know how much we're going to pay anybody.
I
He didn't
think,
put it in the application, so it's,
Mhm.
right,
you know,
I think that's.
it's fair game.
Yeah, I think, I agree.
No offense to him.
No, I agree.
Okay, so we're going to say a yes on him and a question mark on the monies? Or do we want to say 500 would be fine?
I think at this point 500 would be fine, but like everything, we may have to revisit.
Yes, okay.
So now we'll go back. Richard Hamlin, the Pied Potter, we gave that a yes, and for his full amount of 375. And he's been at Field Day, and he actually is very specific. This is a 90-minute program.
Some people know how to fill out grant applications.
He's very good. And again, he's very interactive. He sets everything up, he's ready to go, very amenable. You know,
His price is reasonable.
yeah. So we'll just continue with that one. And then we get into the Listening Wellness Center.
Let's table that till we hear back.
I just,
I don't have a good feel at all based on what you said.
yeah, I just
That's what
couldn't really tell. So, did we give $800? Sounds like a lot that they're requesting 800.
It says 1,000.
Oh, the adult was 1,000,
Oh.
the children.
Let me pull up the budget, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I have this beautiful.
600 is what we gave them last year.
Mhm.
Budget has,
They have a big,
he's got a budget of $47,000.
yeah.
That's probably all the overhead too, the running, you know, the
Okay.
building.
Yeah. So we said yes, we weren't sure about an amount. Perhaps $500 for thinking for our ballpark right now. We did 600 last year.
Sure, I do have the reimbursement form with me that has a lot of information on what,
How many children came?
I don't know if she has quite that much, but she has pictures and she has many receipts.
You've actually spoken to her.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Very
no,
receptive,
she's,
yeah.
they're quite responsive.
Yeah, but she actually told you to, 15?
Yeah, 15 one year, 22 the other year. But, you know, she was very honest in saying that she wasn't giving me numbers that were exaggerated. Because I asked her for those specifics and she came back with those details.
Mhm.
It's a decent.
What programs they run for kids. They have arts programs, they have karate, they have
Music, cooking, languages, sewing,
free as a bird, whatever.
fitness, yoga.
What was the amount from last year?
We gave
600.
them 600.
Okay.
And I think we were told also in the past that the bus from Quabbin Regional does drop kids off there
Okay?
Mhm.
Yeah.
if,
And then there's a
if somebody's
potential rate bus.
attending. Again, I think it's a good program.
Mhm.
We can put 500 and if we've got more money, then we know what to do.
And that's for the youth one,
Yeah.
the table, yeah.
Talked about making work.
Can we come up with a dollar amount for him?
I think we were gonna stay with what he's got there.
100? Okay.
Oh. I love Donna's response on the next one, on the Hubbardston Do Your Art. That was a no. We're now at David Maloof, the ukulele man. We had, this is why it's so important that we attend events, because I saw him, but he at the fair. Was he at the fair? Yeah, he was at the fair. He wasn't field day, he was at the fair. And he was far
Way
out.
off, yeah.
And he was extremely pleasant and ready to go, but you would have to walk over and engage him. And I think people with children and things like that, people generally aren't gonna, walk over and approach somebody. They might.
Just to refresh, he was not allocated that spot. Katie
Right,
told
that's the next part of it.
He chose that. She didn't even know he was there. She called and gave me an earful that if she had known he was there, he would have been announced on the intercom, and that the space was empty, so she just had no idea he was even present. So he picked that far out location himself, for whatever reason.
Because he wanted to be far enough away from the band.
I would have thought so.
That's a
I
reason.
think so, right, and the band is pretty right at you. So I think I'm mixed on him. I mean,
I would love
we've
one
had
of
him come twice.
I would love a
I-
different program.
If I may, the first year I followed him very closely,
Mhm.
and he was way off to the side. So I think I was not there because we were out of state, but I think he was probably in the same spot as he was the previous year,
Mhm.
and it was way off to the side.
Mhm.
And anybody that approached him, he immediately started talking. He said, "You want to try it?" So, and what I did was I kind of scooted some kids over his way. I said, "Go over there and spend some time with the
Right.
uke guy. It's a lot of fun, and you can pick it up very easy," and so on and so forth. And they did. And but at no time did I see more than 3 or 4 people there. And I spent about a half an hour watching that one.
Mhm.
So, in my unofficial capacity tonight, my thought would be, we've tried them 2 years and maybe to pass on it. That would
I
be-
guess, when you think of stuff for kids though, I don't know if the ukulele stands out to me as much. I'm really curious about some of the other programs that he has, that he's offering to do for us.
I have a problem with ukulele being at that venue. That seemed a little. You had a bandstand, you had a big field, lots of noise, crowds. It seems like I think to your point earlier with the other grantee, a more close space, more intimate space for something, maybe the library or here at the senior center or the school, but not in a field like that, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And he had like
Yeah.
20 ukuleles with him. So
Mhm.
if he had as many
Yeah.
people that came up, he was willing to engage. So,
Mhm.
but once again, unofficially, that was my opinion.
Yeah.
Liked him, personable, but
Yes.
not enough bang for our buck.
That would be, I would also say, no, thank you. I also was concerned that even if he may not have wanted the space he was given, you know, he should have confirmed his presence with
Right.
the leader of the program.
Surprised he didn't do
I
it.
agree with that. Communication should have been key for that if there wasn't a situation with noise and.
Yeah, so I'm going to say no.
I don't agree with that, but I'm just saying it. I'll disagree. I would have loved to see what else he could have done.
Mhm.
Wait, does
He's
this?
great, he has hand percussion instruments that he could take to a school, take to a library.
Does he say what venue for this for his application, or is it just a general program only?
And he did offer a Zoom workshop as an alternative too.
In-person, outdoors or indoors, at a local venue, library, senior center, park, etc. The backup alternative would be online Zoom. So library would be an option for him to do something.
Yeah. No offense to the Zoom thing, but just yeah, we're past
I
that.
think we're tired of
Right.
unless things take a deep dive,
Yeah.
we want to go back there, yeah. I agree with the Zoom, that wouldn't be an option that I'd like to pursue.
I think a close setting more appropriate for him.
Donna,
More effective.
you want to weigh in at all?
Well, I haven't seen him perform at all. I thought we were going with a no, so I wrote a no down. But if it's not a ukulele thing, if there's something else, and it's at the library, I guess why not? I don't know how close we are on the money. I think we could probably afford the 400 to spend.
Do you want to just leave him as a maybe? And unless
Yeah.
you all feel strongly, that's.
I've not seen him yet, unfortunately. I'm just going on what's been said at the table. I think we all agree that the venue was not proper for him. Though we've also heard comments of he is interacting with kids, so there's something there. I just don't know if this is the time now, you know, or
I
maybe
guess
pass
I
on to the
wonder-
next, have him reapply for next year.
Does he have a website that would be in the contact information?
Yes, musicpluscomedy.com.
I wonder what that would tell us about some of the other things he does.
Right, I will say, something that I was reasonably impressed with by Matt York is that everybody always says, I'm going to publicize my event, and nobody ever does, or very few people independently promote. He put out stuff, I think he sent it to you, Bill, and he put something, he reached out to us to say, do you have a spot where you can put this up? And that, I was like, sure,
And we did.
we did. I was like, sure, a little late, but sure, happy to do that. I don't have great confidence that this gentleman would be reaching out and doing all kinds of things. He also does this full time, so this is his job. So I don't know.
And a couple of years ago, didn't he back out at the last minute and just?
I don't think so. I know he's been there twice. I don't
He's been
remember.
here twice. But in the interest of time, how about if we revisit him?
And then we'll have an idea of what we think we might have spent and
Mhm.
see if we're, you know.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not a yes, that's a maybe. Okay.
Henry Lappin, my favorite, my favorite person. Henry Lappin, I was a no, but I know others, we all felt that maybe we didn't get our full
Money's worth?
money's worth, thank you. And perhaps, I believe we thought we would grant him, but for $200 rather than $450.
It's kind of hard because it's like a night and day situation where one year it seems like he pleased everybody and the next year he wasn't as effective or something, and that makes it kind of hard. Did he have an off year or I like the idea of seeing a lesser amount if he's only going to be there for a short period of time because
Does he say in his application?
He says an hour.
Yeah, and is there, where I was in York, Pennsylvania, so I couldn't be there, but, and you said you got there around 11 o'clock, and the only thing you saw him do was walk around. Anybody else there earlier?
He interacted with your kids, right?
We were there for around 11 o'clock. I did not see the show, but he interacted with my children
Yeah.
for about 5 minutes. Great interaction, perfect with the kids.
Is there a chance that he performed before? In other words, did his show before? 'Cause
He had a video of him, but I think the part that I didn't like, or that I was not as enthusiastic about, was that I got the sense that he was there and then he was moving along. When I went to go find him again, I actually talked to David Maloof and I said, do you know where the other guy went, the juggler? And they all know each other.
Yeah.
And he said, oh yeah, he's long gone. And this was like, I don't know, 11:30, 11:45?
He made one pass to the field that I saw
Yeah.
after my interaction.
But did the video show him doing his program?
I saw a very brief, like a TikTok level of a video, just
Yeah.
real quick. But I guess I would want to see him really kind of working the crowd a little bit more, or a
would you
real
like that
performance.
more than him doing a show? Have him be a walking entertainer?
No, both.
You'd want both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was very proactive when
Yeah,
he did his
He
program.
was,
Giant
yeah.
guy in a stilts walk around a field, that just screams awesomeness to kids.
Yeah.
Right, no, he was very, I had to really take a long look and go, I think that's the guy.
I'll bet he had
This was
another,
at the fair.
I bet he had another gig to go to. So he might have communicated that to Katie and said, get me on early, and then, because I have to be someplace else. But he said an hour, and I don't think he walked around the field for an hour. So if he did the program early on, between 10 and 11, and then when you guys got there, you were seeing kind of the end of it, that might be an explanation, but I don't have that evidence.
Yeah, I was, I was just not enthusiastic,
Yeah.
particularly for $450.
He does indicate that he would work for less. He'd work on coming up with additional funding himself.
Mhm. And he didn't provide any photos or press releases or anything else.
Well, and his reimbursement, beforehand.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get them from him and the reimbursement requests.
does he have more than one outfit? Did he change outfits, or was it purple or black he was wearing that day? I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
Well, this was Henry, he only sent in a little one-page note.
Right, there was that.
Yeah, 'cause I have him up here, the YouTube video of him, but he's dressed in this black and red striped outfit, and this is not the gentleman that I saw with my kids.
Oh, really?
And that is the
That's
bandstand in
the,
the background, right?
yeah,
Yes.
that
So it
is,
was like-
yeah,
Did
that's,
he the previous year?
This is 2022 according
Okay.
to the title, but
Okay.
you know, take
Yeah.
it with a grain of salt, right? Maybe it's mislabeled.
But it could be somebody that we didn't find. They could be people that at the event had.
no, that's definitely
him.
the guy.
That's
that's
it, the
him.
mustache and the.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
okay.
definitely the guy. Yeah, so,
Yeah, he. If this is 2022, then this is him. Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
So I mean, we can, I would be very willing to say, sure, for $200.
He may not come for that, but he said he'd work for less, so.
Yeah. In case of partial funding, Henry will work with the sponsor to try to come up with additional funds, or he may be able to lower his fee. Don't know what
Or
coming up
do-
with additional funds
I'll
means.
do less of the program. Couldn't get much less in Sarah's eyes, yeah.
Sorry, you just, I apologize, it just left kind of a sour feeling in my mouth, clearly. The next three were just boom, boom, boom. The trip to
Dennis
Cabo.
Cormier, what a great guy.
Yeah.
He's
He'll
a
do a good job
sweetheart,
for you.
and I was as positive about the crop dusters as I was not as positive about the jumper. And,
That makes it very clear.
yeah. So anyway, I thought that they were very good. And totally support them again, and they were a great band they were a great fit for that venue, I thought. Where I felt maybe the venue wasn't quite appropriate for Matt York, but I felt for them it was a great venue. And it was just a really nice background to have going at the field day. So,
They're great.
they're very good. Then we get to drumming. Oh, it is the guy. Jafar.
That's not the one that they.
Oh, that's not the one at the
No,
library?
I had mentioned Jafar myself. It was what did you say, Wendell or something? It was the.
Wendell Warriors. Let me
Yeah.
pull that back up again.
I thought on this drumming, the different drumming, I thought it was local, I thought it was different, and I thought it was within our budget. So I felt,
If I showed a picture, would you be able to pick the individual out?
I think this is the first year they've applied.
yeah, no, this is
Okay.
something new.
Definitely new. I
Yeah,
don't remember that at all.
Okay.
so.
We had the one at the school, that was the one we,
They've never had.
Right. I don't know, it's up to them to find the venue, right? Or to contact the school or the library.
Yes, it's kind of always up to them.
Right,
we can recommend, but they have to establish a contact.
oh, it actually says this workshop would usually be $400, but we are donating $200, so we don't see a need to raise additional funds. It's interesting.
It's library too.
Oh, Wendell Warriors,
What?
yeah, it
Where
is.
do you see that?
It's on your beautiful sheet right here.
Where?
Down qualifications.
Oh, I do see it now.
Yeah, so it is.
Others involved, the Wendell Warriors are actively involved with this group. So are we funding this program that's taking, why does it say it'll take place?
Next year.
It is the same group. Well, we'll have a better idea after.
After Friday, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Although I think for $200
But
it
I'm,
appears to be local.
But I'm bummed.
Okay, so this is probably, where are we?
now that we've detected it out.
So they're kind of a yes. We'll want to hear Jonathan
Dated that.
or anybody else who has
Mhm.
done this.
Um,
But you're right, the $200 is,
Yeah, and they're local.
do you think there's probably not a problem having it 2 years in a row?
I would think so.
Okay.
Then we have Marilyn Morales, and opera. And I'm waiting for my friend Donna on this
Yeah,
one.
you know.
They apply,
You
they
know,
apply every year.
Yeah.
Oh, this one applied?
Yeah, they've applied, they usually apply.
Right. I believe that did not fit our
Well, it's
goals
virtual.
of local and things like that.
Yeah, it's
Virtual and local cable does
Yeah.
not fit what we're looking for either.
Right.
So,
So I felt that one was a no thank you.
If it was COVID, probably, but.
So that one. The next one.
so this one sounds interesting.
Yeah, this one is the Ware River Nature Club. It's outdoor wildlife tracking. I believe in their application, they mentioned who was going to do it. The contact is Wendy Howes from their group, but I believe they're bringing in somebody to run this program. And
David Brown, is that who?
yeah, and I thought that this was local, it was different, and I felt very positively about this.
I have a quick question. I personally find this very interesting because I spent years tracking with my dad in the woods and
Oh, wow.
whatever. But is the appeal there for somebody that's younger than me?
I think so.
Yes, it depends how it's delivered.
Right. Now, you do a
Like
lot
Aud-
with those
Like
scouts,
Mass
right?
Audubon in Princeton, they did a great job with presenting to the little kids. It depends on what the program is. You know,
So the
We sent
interest
our
could be.
great-grandchildren there.
Yeah.
And very, very pleased.
my eldest did preschool there, but so if it's a similar type of presentation for a younger crowd, you're definitely going to bring in more that way.
But this is at night.
No, it's February 4th. I don't know what day of the week that is. I can't imagine it's at night. Well, Winter Walk,
Okay.
is that a Saturday?
Well, that's when you can
Does it say
track,
where?
It says
may
Berry
be at
Falls.
Berry Falls.
or
Berry
the
Falls?
Hubbardston, or, that's in Hubbardston.
It can be done in Hubbardston, right? Yeah, and then we've got a lot of open space and we've got a
Yeah.
lot of places for walking and stuff like that. so-
Given February, I would not recommend Berry Falls unless you're snowshoeing or
Yeah,
having to,
right.
to get your knees into the snow.
Although you never know.
Yeah,
Um,
could do a picnic tables there, I suppose. But
It would be nice if it was a nice level area, Berry Falls, you have.
I will caution February outside events are prone to being canceled due to inclement weather.
They
And
have
this is
a
coming
date.
from a scout family.
Right.
We always have a backup date when we schedule February outdoor events because we know that something might happen.
So they have February 4th and they have
Okay.
February 11th.
Cool.
Um,
So both dates or one's a backup?
It says the February 11th is a backup.
Okay, cool. So they've thought it out then. All right.
If others think, I think this would be very cool.
Mhm. It's different.
It is, it's
Yeah.
different, and for the kids or people, it's probably multiple ages, do we?
It says 12 and up.
Okay, so I think, it just sounds very interesting to me.
It's a good investment of our grant money, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the $250 is very appropriate.
So by tracking, then they know what's around at
What do you
night.
It's indigenous.
When you get up in the morning, you look out on your lawn, you see little footprints in the snow. That's
Yeah, on Ragged Hill Road, my husband, who's next door at the Open Space Committee, someone in that group had a video of a moose.
On Ragged Hill?
Yeah, on Ragged Hill, yeah, someone's yard on Ragged Hill.
Do you know what number?
No, I
98.
don't. Yeah, I don't
What
know.
number are you?
Four.
80, that's right, I meant to say 84.
Was it really 98?
No, no, I'm
Oh.
just making it
Yeah,
up.
no,
Trying to remember your
Oh.
address.
But yeah, they had video of moose. Yeah, so
I'm waiting to see a moose around here. I hear this.
They're
No.
around,
Yeah.
they're around, not as
We
much,
had
but
one years
Yeah,
ago.
we had a cow, yeah.
really
True,
abundance.
yeah.
Yeah, no.
And then I've got all kinds of outside lights and I've got 14 cameras, so
Oh, you
periodically.
see everything.
Oh my gosh, 11 o'clock at night, light will go on now. No, there's something going through and
Right.
Like-
It's really fun. I love seeing what's in my
Yeah.
yard. It's really fun. But anyway, I digress. So that's a yes. Then we go to Gregory Nature. So this is Gregory who has a great relationship with the library and has come every year that I've been involved with the culture.
My wife loves it.
That's great
Every
to
event.
know.
Yeah.
She goes.
Yeah.
That's
She goes,
good
yeah.
to know, because I'm kind of mixed. But now, your wife went this past year?
Yep.
Did she say how many people went?
I'll have to ask her. I don't remember. It varies from event to event.
I think that what I heard was between 20 and 22.
Yeah,
That's a
last
big
time I went
improvement.
last year, I think it was last year, or the year before last, right after COVID release, all the regs dropped. I went with her, and I think there were 12 of us in the room. It was a good time.
Right, because I went the
Yeah.
first year I went, I think there were like 40 to 50.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And then the
they
second,
they had it here, right? Was it here or
no, it
was
was in the library.
Yeah, 'cause we
And
had
then
it
the
2
second
times
year
in
I
the
went,
library.
there were like 7.
He also announces what you're going to be doing before you get there, so
Yeah.
there's some filtering going on there with the audience, I think.
Yeah,
He does mostly flowers, things like that.
right.
Roger.
Now, I know that last year we turned him down and the library funded him.
Yeah, Chris funded it.
So I don't know how that would work out. And that's
Have
really
we
great
ever
input.
partially funded him? We've
No.
usually been all or nothing, right?
But it was,
But-
it was under 500, I mean, that's right.
It's been creeping up each year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I recall under 500.
My concern with this year with his application is that, as you know, that the budget shortfall and everything is, will the library have the funding to host him again? Will they require extra help, correct?
And remember, he was very accommodating to change the date to make it earlier in the year too, instead of December.
Oh, yeah, it was like
Yeah.
December.
He comes all the way out from
Right.
Greenfield.
Yeah.
His
That's good.
time frame, though, has changed, I believe, due to a visual concern, it's earlier, so it's from 5 to 7.
Okay.
Correct, his drive is an hour and 15 minutes, I think.
Yeah,
That's
but-
Pittsfield. Wow.
Yeah.
Right, and I know he does not want to be out in the dark. I know that was a concern, so we moved the
It's
time.
gonna be
up.
5 to 7 if he does it in November.
No, it's in May.
Oh, it's May, okay.
One thing to also take into account is how many programs that are arts related do we have for adults?
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the few that we actually have. So
Mm-hmm.
from that point of view to supporting not just the children, but the adult population, it might make sense to fund,
Do you
I mean,
think-
especially if Chris's budget has been cut or whatever.
Yeah, my fear is that with the town budget, is that there's discussion before this last, you go up to the town meeting the
I
other
watch
night?
it online.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they made it work, barely. And before that meeting, there was actually discussion through the trustees of cutting the budget down on the library as well, which would actually put them down below the minimum, which means they would get decertified.
Oh, not again.
So they're
wow.
right there at that level.
Oh,
Wow.
There's no
That
wiggle room
happened
for them
several
right
years
now.
ago, that they got defunded.
Yeah, this last meeting, they would have been defunded had the finance committee not worked something out.
Jarvis Clark would roll in his grave.
Yeah, and I told Morgan straight up that you can't, don't let it happen,
It's difficult to
Getting
get it
back on is more difficult than losing it,
Right,
right?
exactly. So
they're- yeah.
in that light, that makes me want to even more say,
Yeah.
yes, and fund him for as much as we can.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Um,
I mean, in the meantime, we could probably talk to Chris and find out if she's got any money available in her budget to partially fund him too, and we can offset each other.
I mean, I think, just based on all the information, and we don't have anything else like this, I would be amenable, and I know he's not, he doesn't come cheap. I would be willing to say $500, particularly in light of the library cuts.
How about if I volunteer, because I'm gonna be dropping off the latest book I wrote to Chris, and I could talk to her unofficially and find out.
I'm gonna
You
drop
didn't
off
bring
the
a
latest
copy
book
for
I
us
wrote,
to-
just toss that in there.
Why don't you bring a copy for us to peek at?
Oh, I can do that next meeting.
Let's do that next
Yeah.
meeting.
You should have
That's a
applied
fine
for a
line.
cultural council
Well,
grant.
yeah. It might be like a conflict of interest of some sort.
Exactly.
I figure 10 years out, maybe I could apply for something, but
It would just be fun to see it.
yeah, if you want me, I'll just ask her how.
I just don't consider the town that.
Well, they have the first three volumes.
They have the first
Yeah.
three.
No, you keep in mind that they're at that level where they would have been defunded. There may be operational costs built into that dollar amount, that they may have some, I just don't know what that is and how much room they have, right? She
So I have
has-
your okay?
Yes.
Big pardon?
I have your okay to do that?
Yes, yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I like Chris.
Yeah, because I think everyone's making really great points about bringing him back. Again, you can get a whole band for a day for one of him, but that he's always been, you know, the Cadillac price.
Yeah, I'll agree to bring my book, but you gotta bring your art form that you have done in the past.
The last time I went, they made me.
Yeah.
I'm not very. And one year I suggested to him that he could bring something for someone like me to trace. That didn't happen.
Either that or matches, so you burn it.
Yeah, I find it very fun, but it's serious business there, and I'm not very good. So the last time I went, I just took pictures. And actually, I will say visually for like our website, for our Facebook page, and for pictures of Cultural Council, that's one of the best things to take pictures of. The bandstand thing, boy, those are hard to take pictures of. But he and the Hawk guy had the best pictures. I wish he would be a part.
Yeah.
He was great. The Winchendon Music Festival, this comes up, I believe this is another usual applicant. What are people's thoughts on him?
It was hard. We funded him for the very first time last year or the year before, and they had COVID and it got delayed and extended, and then it became something virtual Zoom. So it's hard to have a good feeling about the whole thing. We did convince him to apply for his reimbursement because at that time they wanted everybody reimbursed.
Did he apply for reimbursement?
Yes, he did. Yeah, yep. I think it was like $500 at that point that he got. This is Andrew directly. Then somebody else has taken over on the next one. I don't know if he was appointed a new title or something within Winchendon, and he was leaving the role he had been in. But he applied again this year for something to do with them, so I'm not exactly sure how that works.
So this is going to take place in Washington?
It does.
Okay.
I think this may not be as an appropriate music event for Hubbardston, particularly $2,500. I guess we could think about a small, essentially donation.
I
but-
think that's kind of what we were doing last year, but I have a feeling that nobody took any advantage of what might have even been out there. I don't even know if I know what they did with Zoom. I just knew that it was supposed to be out there.
And I don't
Very,
trust-
very nice person.
Mhm.
I think he's very talented. I just don't know how much Hubbardston, with all the other things that we think we're trying to direct solely into town, if this fits the bill this year.
If it was in town, I would have an easier sell on it. Having to go all the way out to Winchendon, I personally don't know the individual. I'm sure that they're nice, but I'm just trying to get people from Hubbardston out to Winchendon for something like that.
Try to get them to Hubbardston.
Hubbardston, yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Something like that.
That's right, yes. I think that's a
And
pretty
if
strong.
you folks are gonna be trying to promote the concerts, then
Right.
I think that you got a much better bang for your buck and an opportunity to personally evaluate. That's what we're looking for.
Let's say no and move on then.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna know. And this is kind of almost the same thing.
But it's $100.
But
It's, again, Winchendon.
And this one actually does say that they have Hubbardston people in this group. I think this was the one that said that several Hubbardston
yes,
folks
a few of
are.
our players live in Hubbardston.
Mhm.
That goes a long way.
It does, and it's $100.
Okay,
I'll say yes or no.
I'll say yes to that. Okay, here are the three fun ones. These are like so fun. And none of them, this is the Lions Club, none of them are asking for too much money. They're all very reasonable amounts.
They were all so different.
Yes,
I loved them all.
I thought they were all pretty cool.
Yeah.
Why don't we go through the first one? The first one is called Fun Science Workshop.
Where are they gonna hold that one?
Field day?
These are all filled in, correct?
This first one, I was the most kind of mixed
Really?
on. I thought it sounded great, but I kind of, it seemed to me to be more something that the Lions could run themselves. And the other two, I was more interested in funding. That was just my thought.
It just seems like a great way to have kids get dirty and have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they had booths this past year where kids could stop and do things. I forget what they had, but they had a bounce house and they had,
But this one's sounds
right,
like
yeah, but they
hands-on
had
with-
something that was hands-on,
Unfortunately, I didn't stop at that table this year.
right,
There was a small booth, there was some hands-on stuff.
right. I mean, I just, out of the three, it was the one that I kind of felt the weakest about, but that was me.
Of the three, it seems like it was more hands-on of being creative, of kids actually, I don't know,
Yeah, I mean, Oobleck, marshmallow catapults,
it kind of sounds like
paper
fun.
rockets. It sounds fun.
You don't think it sounds fun?
It does, yeah.
I thought it sounded
Yeah.
like fun stuff. I guess I was
Why don't
thinking.
you see where your dough is at the end, and, because I think
Maybe we
universally,
could
the
divvy up.
last two, you're pretty strong on, aren't you? So,
Yeah, and I think my other concern about the Fun Science Workshop is it potentially could have a volunteer doing it, and it could have a Lions Club volunteer who's very into it and very interactive and really bringing the kids in like some of our other performers have. It could also have someone being like, you know, waiting for
So are they gonna
someone
be
to
there the
approve.
whole day with that kind of money?
Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
that's gonna be, think about it,
Do they
you know, it's
act-
gonna
do
be
they-
one or two
I'm
people
guessing,
stopping.
right, I'm
Yeah.
guessing probably.
And
for
so
every two.
that's a full day versus some of your entertainers are
Yes.
an
The other
hour.
thing is, it's one of the things that could actually encourage children along the lines of STEM activities. I mean, it's kind of like a little bit of a, you know, there's science based and fun, and it could encourage a kid to, who might not have the opportunities to.
A stimulus.
Yeah. I guess I like it personally, but.
Oh, I loved it. I liked all three of them. It was kind of a yes, yes, yes. It took me.
Yeah, me too.
I
Especially
just,
for
I
the
just
amount of money.
felt it started to add up in terms of monies.
So their budget is for 364. Supplies and materials, cornstarch, baking soda, popsicles, all the things you need for STEM type stuff. That's 125. Equipment purchase, they have to buy a compressed air rocket educational kit times 4. And then they have to get a bicycle, which is up to $10. So it's all supplies, their budget. There's no, it's all
Yeah.
volunteer based. There's no contracting of human resources on
So
it.
you probably would have volunteers,
Yeah.
and the rest of it, you know, all the money is gonna be in supplies. It's a pretty good bang for the buck.
Well, do we want to agree that this would be a program that we would like to put some money towards to show that the Cultural Council is supporting these types of activities for kids? Because I would like to have our name on it.
It's a yes for me.
It's a yes for me.
You just don't know if all three.
That's where I
On the docket
had the
here,
problem, is it
Yeah.
starts to, as a standalone, but when you add the other two, it starts to,
So yes with the question mark, we go through the other two and then we
for the money.
wrap around and see where we land.
Yeah.
And then the balloon person, which to me sounded extremely appropriate for the fair, and particularly because you have a veteran sounding performer who will probably interact and walk around and stuff like that. I would.
That would be field day.
That's, yes.
Yeah, field day.
So I felt that one was appropriate and appropriate for that month. Your husband
That's
cold?
what
He has heat now, we have that car back, but he said he has to go to bed at some point.
Yeah.
Why don't we,
Time's up.
he drives to the North Shore, he gets up and he's out by 5, so
Thanks.
He's still going in the North Shore. Wow.
been doing it for over 30 years. I guess, I think all of the Lions Club isn't really, they're asking for what, under $1,000? How much does this add up to?
550, 900? Is that 900?
Yeah.
I would
850.
say yes.
Yeah, no, 900, yeah.
And then we figure out how to divvy up the dollars. I'm gonna split.
Yeah.
I would like to confirm that we're going to be meeting on November 17th instead of the 14th, because I goofed on the dates. And I will send another email to the select board because that's critically important.
Imperative.
Well, does the select board, do they meet every 2 weeks? So we would still be under the no, because it would be the 7th and the 14th, and then we're there. So yeah, it's critically important to get that done. So I will send them another email, and I will see what's going on with the town website. in terms of who to contact for the Veterans Affairs?
Just put a dollar and so.
Sure,
Yeah.
that's fine, thank you.
Oh, Paul, we love them, yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for all you do. And the downtown board need to find out who you talk to set up more
Perfect, yeah.
information. Do we need more information about the concert series that Katie is thinking about planning? Do we need outreach to her before we finalize?
Maybe contingent upon how much we give her too, and then she may have, more input at that point. But,
I'd like to have more information.
Yeah.
Her ratios.
Okay.
okay,
Thank you.
great.
Have a good
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
Do you feel comfortable reaching out to her, or would you like me to?
Like to.
That would be
Great,
great.
yeah, great.
I'm trying to be more urban.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. I'm so glad to be back.
In the peanut gallery,
Yeah,
right?
and yet I did say, be sure it's just 1 year, so
Oh,
30th
no,
of June. yeah.
it's absolutely invaluable.
We do have an awful lot of interest right now, I'm hearing on the grapevine. So whatever we're doing with
Yeah,
Facebook
yeah.
and sharing and passing
Yeah.
stuff around, it's being noticed.
Great.
So
Yeah.
take whatever of those you want, because you may ask for some,
Right,
and just,
right. I don't really go much of anywhere between
yeah.
work and here.
Do you want me to leave, I can leave them here? And is it okay that it's still, no, take some. And then, is it okay with you, Sarah, because my name's on that?
Yeah,
They contact me?
absolutely.
Okay, yeah, because I can say unofficially I could respond and then tell them to come to another meeting, and that's great. Well, no.
I'll see
It's
if
a
I can
good
find-
group,
I'll
and
see
it
if I can
does,
find some stickers for
Right.
this.
Yeah.
Does anybody need these right now, or do you want me to hold them as examples until
I can
we
take a
go
few if you
into
want.
this?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you can
Okay.
take them. Unless, do you want to bring one of those to
yeah,
Chris at the
yeah, because
library?
she doesn't have one yet.
I'm gonna,
Right, that's
Yeah,
cool.
good.
I'm
I'll
gonna walk next door and see if my wife's still there.
Okay,
If you want, I can drop one of these off.
yeah,
So
Perfect, yeah.
your wife's doing,
The trustees.
oh, because my husband's right here at the open space.
We were debating whether or not to carpool, and we're like, no, we'll take separate cars,
Yeah.
because we don't know how long we'll be.
Right, yeah, no, it's really funny. Everybody's downtown tonight, it's very fun. Again, I appreciate everybody.